Kujandani muungane tuache kuzozana, watu wa upendo, hauna adui, hauna mfanyika. Going slow, but still we're keeping time. We're facing forward, looking up, forgetting what's behind. Kutambura kwedu shida hatina rudo, ukosefu wa upendo ulete dhiki. I wish we had a fighting chance to show what we are. Hata mimi ninasikia uchungu, yangaishwa, ninalia ukilia dada, Baba, sauti yangu inakuja, haurosua moyo wangu unawaza.
Hamzambo family, welcome to the Blackwood Fire Network, Voices of the Motherland. We trust that everyone is doing fantastic on yet another wonderful month. Of course, today happens to be the 1st of September, the year 2020. And of course, if you have been looking forward to achieve something in September, then this is a time to go out and get it. We also all know about the song which is called First of the Month by Bone Dogs and Harmony. I was saying earlier on a different show that that is one of the jams to jam to this particular time of the month. You know, it's called First of the Month, and that is by Bone Dogs and Harmony. And before we get into the topic of today, I shall be examining a little bit of this particular song just to get you in the mood for the first of the month.
Grammarly helps make your writing clear and concise, no matter where you are.
Wake up, wake up, wake up. Get up, get up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Get up, get up, get up. It's a first of the month. That is just that is just some good vibes to get your month started. Now, of course, even before we start over this particular month, I want to wish everyone a happy and productive month ahead. And of course, like you said, a lot of things have been impeded because of the COVID-19 pandemic, and people are not able to go and pursue. People are not able to go and pursue some of some of their passions or some of their goals for the year, simply because of that interference. But nonetheless, do not fret. You still have a couple of more days left in the year. You do have a couple of more days left in the year. And of course, the month of September just started. And if you've been keeping busy, you get to realize that the times move pretty fast. And of course, like you said, I trust that everyone has been keeping safe and busy. That is when you realize that time really moves pretty fast when you get to engage yourself with productive things. You might be at work, you might be taking a short course online, you might be doing whatever that you're doing, and that keeps your mind very much busy. Rombi, karibu sana. Welcome to the Voices of the Motherland show. That was Rombi trying to join us on the show. But I apologize. It seems that there is a bit of a connectivity hit, but she shall be with us on this episode of the African of the Voices of the Motherland. Sometimes I get myself mixed up, but nonetheless, that is just what it is. And Mr. Pirate Brain, I trust that you are doing well. I hope this particular month finds you in good health. Yesterday happened to be your birthday. I hope you did mark it with your loved ones, with your family, or whomever you're able to link up with. I trust that you had a fantastic birthday yesterday. And like you said, I want to wish everyone a happy and productive month of September. We're just having a few more days left in the month. To start us off, today I just want to highlight something that I just came across, and this is the issue of African unity. Before we get into the issue of tapping the potential of the African youth, I just want to highlight briefly on a video that I came across, and this is one African from West Africa who was talking a little bit about people uniting, Black people uniting globally, and why it is so important for him to have Black people unite across the continent, not just across the continent, but globally. And this is the West African artist. He goes by the name Burna Boy. And recently he was on the Breakfast Club interview. He was recently on the Breakfast Club interview. And he was talking about African unity and why he feels that it's important for the African people to unite globally. And this is what he had to say. Let me just play these a little bit over this clip, then we shall get into the affair of the day. Like I said, I want to welcome everyone on the show. Before I play that, I want to welcome everyone onto the show. And like you said, the show is all about spreading good vibes from the motherland to the homeland, and of course globally. And that is what it is right here on the Voices of the Motherland. Normally hosted by Rumbi, also Kami. But Kami went to check on her mom. She wasn't feeling well. But we do hope that we shall still carry on with the show, which is the Voices of the Motherland, even in the absence of Kami and Rumbi. I want to share this particular video. I like to say it's all about African unity. I don't know how many of us have heard or have listened to the music by Burna Boy. I think Burna Boy, for me, he's one of the best African artists. He actually dropped an album last year. The album was titled African Giant, and I believe he's an African giant, musically speaking. I don't know what to think of him. If you have heard his music or if you haven't heard his music, kindly go check out Burna Boy. On the show, we normally get to bump a little bit of his music on the network. Sorry, on the network, we get to play a little bit of some music by Burna Boy. And he has had a recent interview. Oh, you're back with us. Thank you. Thank you for joining us on the show. I got you lost for a second there. How are you doing?
I'm all right, Specs. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. And before you got on the show, I was playing some music by a guy from Zimbabwe. I don't know if you know. I don't know if you know the artist Oliver Mtukudzi. Do you know Oliver Mtukudzi from Zimbabwe?
Yes, we loved him so much. He was a legendary in our country.
And there's a song they collaborated on with a brother from Kenya. The name of the song is called 2020. And the artist is known as Eric Wainaina. I don't think Eric Wainaina is much popular in Zimbabwe, but they did a song with Oliver Mtukudzi. And Oliver Mtukudzi has been to Kenya for a couple of times in performing at one of the platforms. It's called the Koroga Festival. I think he has attended the Koroga Festival he did attend the Koroga Festival for about maybe 4 or 5 times. And he was one of the favorites while performing. But nonetheless, he transcended. And he passed on, I believe, was it last year or last year but one? When did he die?
2018.
Yeah, that is last year but one. That is when he passed on. But may his soul rest in peace. Before I got onto Oliver Mtukudzi, I also played some. I was sharing some music by Burna Boy, who is a West African artist, and he has been talking about African unity, which is very, very much important. And I just want to share with us a video of what he had to say regarding African unity and why it's very, very much important, or why it's an affair which is very, very much close to his heart. Let me share this particular video of Burna Boy talking on the Breakfast Club.
Is there any correlation between the titles of your last 2 albums, African Giant and then now Twice as Tall?
Yeah, man. To be honest, man, I wanted to call it African Giant Part 2, but African Giant did so well, I didn't want to, put that pressure on this.
I think Diddy executive produced this album. So what made you choose Diddy, and how did that relationship come about, and what was like his whole influence?
No, man, he's someone that I've always looked up to, and so this is it's a big blessing to me, because it wasn't the plan in the beginning, but then it just happened organically, and it's been perfect every step of the way,
How did Diddy attack this project? Because you wouldn't necessarily think Diddy when you think of African music and Afro beats. You know what I mean? So how did Diddy attack this? How did you get up with it?
Yeah, man. So basically, I just wanted this album to be a bridge, like a strong bridge to all Black people in the diaspora. Everywhere there's Black people in this world, I wanted this bridge to touch there. So I just thought Diddy would be the best person to bring that power.
Hey, I'm glad you said that, because you've always been an advocate of Black people returning home to Africa. Why is that so important to you?
It's very important to me because I feel like most of us, like the Black people, we don't necessarily understand how important it is for us to be together at, especially at times like this. You understand? And we tend to forget that our real power will come from the fact that, you know, the rest of the world sees this united power of this united black power. That's the scariest thing to anyone else and to any other, you know, to the Western civilization and all that. Is the scariest thing is the unity, the power of black unity all around. If that could be achieved, then this world, the world would be black.
Tell me, what is blackness to you? Because you know, right now we have Senator Kamala Harris, who's the vice presidential running mate, and people are saying, "Oh, she's not black because she's half Jamaican and her brother's Indian," and it's like, I'm like, huh?
That's bullshit. That's part of the problems we're facing. It's the lack of that understanding. You understand?
That is Banaboy, of course, speaking some truth right there, saying that black unity is, of course, a thing that is feared globally. When black people unite, they are very, very much powerful. And of course, that is not what the Western, the Europeans would really love, but the South Asians who have, of course, had a big influence on the continent. They wouldn't love to see black unity or black people uniting as one people. And that is some true sentiments by the one and only, Banaboy from West Africa, Nigeria. Like I said, he dropped an album. You can check it out. The name of the album is called Twice as Tall. And before that, he did put out an album that, of course, was labeled The African Giant. I don't know if Arumbi is a Burna Boy fan. Are you a Burna Boy fan? Have you listened to any of his music, previously, maybe in Zimbabwe or South Africa?
Yes, I listen to Burna Boy almost every day. Like right now, I'm listening to his song, the monsters you made. It's quite uplifting when you see someone from Africa, um, a Nigerian artist, is now acting like a revolutionary altogether, and that is something that is really amazing because that this album really it's touching many hearts in Africa.
It's a good vibe. Of course, I haven't listened to the whole of it, but I'm still checking out some of the music. They have also actually featured a Kenyan band on the album, and the Kenyan band is known as Sauti Soul. I believe even Sauti Soul is known even in Southern Africa. But nonetheless, I want to move fast forward and get on to the topic of the day. And I also want to thank everyone that has joined us so far on the show. It's always a delight when you get together with us and taking on us on the Black Fire Network. I remember this is the voice of the Motherland show, hosted by the African that is also known as Rumbi Zai Muzopa with Sister Kami. But Sister Kami is not able to join us today, but nonetheless, we shall keep it moving. And of course, remember you can visit our website, which is www.black.firenetwork.com. You can be able to find, some African blogs, some materials you can read on, some podcasts to listen to, some wonderful music also to, bump to, as well as other interesting materials such as videos and photos right there on the Black Fire Network. If you would also love to get a hold of us on our social media, we are on Instagram at Black Fire Network. We are also on Twitter, Black Fire, and also on Facebook, Black Fire Network Radio Station. If you would love to shoot an email, you can also write it to blackfireafrica@gmail.com. We would love to hear your comments, your suggestions, your questions, anything that you would love to just put across. Just feel free to do so right there using our social media handles and also using our email. And of course, I was saying earlier that today we shall be discussing about the issue of, tapping into the potential of the African youth. And of course, this particular topic is very, very much important because Africa is the youngest continent in the world. And of course, if the African people do not use this opportunity, if the African people do not use this opportunity of course, to advance in terms of advancing social, economically, advancing politically, advancing in all other different spheres, then we shall have missed out on a very, very big opportunity, of course, of advancing or getting back to, trying to rise higher than we are right now. And of course, the opportunities that young people can use do include education. And today we shall be focusing a little bit about African education and of course what perhaps would be done to make sure that we are getting back on track in terms of development by using the potential in the young people. Of course, there are so many people that say that you are only young for only a little while. You're only young for only a little while. Maybe after you hit past 40, then you do not feel young anymore. But of course, some also people love to say that age is just but a number. That is what some people love to say, that age is just but a number. You might also be young at heart, but even though you're about maybe 50 or 60 or whatever other age, you might still be young at heart. But for the purposes of this discussion, we shall be talking about people younger than 35 years old. Of course, if you're older than that, still you are not left out of this conversation. We are still glad to incorporate you, all include you in this conversation of the African youth. And there are different statistics, of course, that have been put out by different organizations. For example, the United Nations, as well as other different bodies, of course, on how the potential can be tapped from the African youth. And of course, I do believe there is also a day of the African youth, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just get this correct, the day of the African youth. Day of the African youth. Let me see what particular day this is. Let me see, we have this. I think I have come across this particular one. Yes, this is the day of the Africa Youth Day. This is the Africa Youth Day, and it's actually held on 1st of November, the 1st of November every year, where people get together and just get to discuss on matters that have to do with the African youth and what we can do to tap into the potential, or what we can do to advance in terms of social economic wise and other different spheres. So talking about education, there is a video I came across. And I don't know if Rumbi might agree with this one, but there is a video I came across of a man talking about the education system in Africa. And you get to realize that the education system in Africa is flawed, because we learn things that are not helping us. Most of the time, people go to class, but they are misled by the education system in the curriculum that you do have right here. And let me just share these with us real quick. Let me share these with us real quick. This is from a conference. This is from a conference that I just want to share with us real here. These are two videos. Let me just start with this one. So you can listen to what this particular panel speaker has to say about the education system in Africa and what is wrong with it.
They realized that if we take away Africans from practice and move them to theory, we will be creating a labor force for ourselves. So they brought a school system which did not promote thinking, but promoted remembering. Say that again. They brought a school system which did not promote thinking, but promoted remembering, for the sake of creating good employees who don't think but can remember. Okay? Right. So they brought a school system where you learned useless things. Homo habilis. Who was Shaka's mother? What is the longest river in Africa? Tell me, what is the use of that rubbish? Okay. So you went into school and you were studying how many times Muslims pray a day. Yeah. You wake up at night. They realized that if we take away Africans from practice and move them to theory, we will be creating a labor force for ourselves. So they brought a school system which did not promote thinking, but promoted remembering. Say that again. They brought a school system which did not promote thinking, but promoted remembering, for the sake of creating good employees who don't think but can remember. Okay? Right. So they brought a school system where you learned useless things, Homo habilis.
That is, of course, the same kind of a situation I do believe that we do have right here on the African, in Kenya. Not just in Kenya, but even across the African nation, we do find that in most systems where you do find people trying to get educated, most of the things that they do get to learn in school, most of the things are really not even things that you can practice, or things that will actually help you in terms of advancing, getting knowledge or skills or expertise to do anything, perhaps create jobs for yourselves, perhaps be self-reliant financially, or other different kinds of ways. And of course, looking at the education system, and of course the curriculum, has there been, for example, in your own country, for Rundi, has there been a change of the curriculum, or have they still stuck to the same curriculum that was developed after the Declaration of Independence? Have Zimbabwe changed the curriculum, or has it remained as it were, as it were adopted during independence?
Okay, the curriculum, yes, has changed. I think it now changed for the second time. Back in the day, there was ZJC. Okay, that's Form 1, Form 2, and then there was O level and ZIMSEC. Then over the years, they updated the curriculum. So because back in the day, people used to write Cambridge. So Cambridge exams, the board that is registered with the United Kingdom because of the colonial era. So that was mostly people would write Cambridge, but then there was now the introduction of the local examination board called the Zimbabwe Schools Examination. So that was so they're the ones who now provided the syllabus to which all local citizens can access and afford, because the Cambridge syllabus and it's quite pricey. So people were not we I also wrote the ZIMSEC as well. The ZIMSEC was I wrote the syllabus for ZIMSEC, and then I think 4 or 5 years back the curriculum changed again, because during my time of high school, the minister that was there, he was white. He was a white man. So he tried, and then there was a change, and then the next person that came in, he brought about a new syllabus, a new curriculum. So back in the day, we were mostly focusing on the academics of the education system. We would not focus on certain essential skills that are needed for one's growth and development, like agriculture, things to do with arts, um also like things to do with tourism and all. You would not get that in our regular day-to-day syllabus. So there was a change of syllabus, but this one now, it requires you to focus mostly on your strengths as an individual. So if you like let's say journalism, stuff like that, from as soon as you go to your high school, right, you start focusing on that. So there was noise that came about with that new curriculum, because our African parents, speaking for my country, mostly they want their children to focus on the academics. They are not people who believe so much in arts and other skills and all. But then over the years, people adapting. Those that want to pursue music, they're doing it still at school. So progressive, it's people are adapting to this new curriculum, though it's quite hard, because there was also a top up of a lot of subjects, and you tend to see that some of the subjects that you'll be studying, you won't even when it comes to your career or to the thing that you want to pursue in life, you won't even use some of the knowledge that you'd have gotten from those subjects. But well, they're just there so that keeps our minds busy, or I don't know, for some reason. So yeah, right
And
now,
yeah,
so
most of
right
the
now,
time,
yeah, that new
sorry.
curriculum.
Of course, even in Kenya, we have had a change because there has been a need for people to adjust from the old curriculum. Most of the time, we do find that even some of the material that had been put in the old curriculum was just material lifted from, from the former colonial masters of Kenya. The same thing, like you said, Zimbabwe was also a British colony, and therefore, what happened is that after independence, what was there was the education system just lifted from Britain and just put in Africa. And what you get to realize also is that most African governments have not yet prioritized on offering, free education for their people. And of course, without education, people will remain dumb. And once they remain dumb, then they cannot be, they cannot be able to emancipate themselves from, from poverty, from all these different challenges in life. And of course, in Zimbabwe, do you guys have free education, free secondary and primary school education in Zimbabwe? Do you have free primary and secondary education in Zimbabwe?
No, 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 we don't have. But well, in rural areas, the
Yeah.
prices are they're quite reasonable. But over here in the big cities and all, no, we have no
Of
free
course,
education.
in Kenya, one of the priorities in 2007, when we did have the election of the president, who was known as Moi Kibaki, his government actually pledged to offer free primary education, and of course that worked for a while. But nonetheless, right now there has been so much strain on the free primary education right here in Kenya. And of course, I would love to see a point where most African governments are actually prioritizing on offering free education. I understand that in Libya, North Africa, the government of Muammar Gaddafi had put in the measures to make sure that they are offering free education for the people, and that is one of the ways of ensuring that people are moving from poverty, and of course they are moving from the mental shackles of ignorance. Some people might not even leave to exploit their full potential because they do not have the necessary knowledge and skills on how to go about doing different things, simply because they could not afford decent education. Not just decent education, you find that in most cases, for example, in talking about education on the continent of Africa, you might still find some places where the people are still disadvantaged and they are still learning under the trees. Of course, you also find students learning under very, very bad conditions where the government is also not doing enough to make sure that they have invested in the education so that people can have classrooms, can also have things like a feeding system, a feeding program, where they can be able to learn as well as get fed. Let me share with us this particular video so that you can see some of the students and how the education system has been for them right here in Kenya. There's a place called Isiolo, and people are just out there learning under a tree. Even if you are passionate about learning, apart from just offering free education, I believe also the government should also be focused on improving the infrastructure in education. That is one of the ways we can tap into the potential of the African youth, simply by providing quality and affordable education, which of course is not just education, but education that will impact that will also impact the people that are studying. These are some of the people learning under a tree in a place called Isiolo, and it's sad.
Na sisi tuliathirika na ugonjwa wakati ule ambao shule ilifungwa. Ni upepo mkali ulikuja in November, ulikuwa unavuma kwa kasi na ukakuja ukabomoa 5 classes kutoka klasi 4 mpaka klasi 8, na kwa bahati nzuri watoto hawakuwa shule wakati huo, kwa maana walikuwa nyumbani, tulikuwa tumefunga shule. Sasa wakati ule ambao ilibomoka, hata ile solar ambayo ilikuwa installed by the government ya laptop project class 1 this year ilibomolewa na upepo na
these are some of the challenges you will find in Africa, where you do find that there are people even learning from under trees in different places. And like I was saying, the government also needs to invest much more, because if you to alleviate ignorance, one of the best ways to do it is through proper education. This has not just to be about the content, but also has to be quality. And apart from also the government itself, I believe people have to awaken in the African continent to realize that it's not just upon the government to make sure that they bring education. I believe also people are supposed. I believe also the community itself is also supposed to, pull its resources together. In some places, you different regional governments. And therefore, what has happened? Most people have not prioritized. The government, in some places, have not prioritized on offering at these essential services in, offering quality education, because because they understand once people are learned, then they will start to demand. There will be demands that come up with that, because people start to demand better quality of life. People will demand, a responsibility and accountability from the government in terms of, some of the taxes that is being paid and other things like that. And therefore, there will be a pressure on the government for them to perform. But since the government does not want that, they would rather allow for people to grow up without, getting proper education. And of course, some of the governments have been asking for grants from different sources to be able to invest in the education system, but that hasn't really materialized on the African continent. And like I was saying earlier, the content of the education system right in Kenya is also not so good. Muhammad Gaddafi.
Question, Spike?
Yeah, go ahead.
Spike, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me ask you a question. I want you to think. I want you to think about something. Okay, colonialism, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Now they gave the African all their goofy systems of government, from Zimbabwe to Kenya to Nigeria. That's why everybody's wearing these dumbass wigs and shit, right? These ridiculous looking wigs.
Yeah.
But the one thing they didn't do, which they did in Asia and they also did in America, everywhere but Africa, primary school is everywhere. It's free until you go to college, right?
Yeah.
And in America, college even used to be free for the criminals to decide, no, we're going to make money. Let's say, educated populace for your country to thrive. But one thing they never did in Africa, but they did everywhere, is make sure the Africans, when they set up a government, that they did not supply them free education. Everything is a war against black people. So you got to look and say, well, why is Africa the only place where education, where people are living hand to mouth, they got to pay for education for their children? Because you were meant to always lose. You were meant to be on the bottom. You were meant to stay on the bottom. These are not accidents. That's what the damn African people have been saying fearful. We're going to explain fear and light and how religion. We're going to explain complete African science today on the Africa Today show. I didn't have a chance to do it Saturday. Everybody was mad at me. We're doing the Africa Today show. We're going to go back in light and understand African knowledge, right now. So the reason why they did not want to put up a primary school system in Zimbabwe, South Africa, and also in the French colony, because they know your history. You taught them. As I taught you, Spike, that's a fact now. I'm not just telling you that. You taught them. So they knew if you ever got off the bottom and actually really learned, you would what? Turn the apple cart back over. So the idea is to make sure you didn't learn, and the educational system that they brought you was inferior. Was a thing about like that guy said. I told you it was about remembering nonsense. That the African doesn't know anything. So that's why I told you when I go to Africa, it used to make me mad. I didn't know that the educational system was that bad. And I was ignorant too. I was ignorant. I had to learn. I was ignorant in college. And shout out to the brother from Uganda, because propaganda worked on me too, Spike. When I thought Idi Amin was a cannibal, that man became my hero. Through them movies, I was a child, and they were showing me Uganda, Idi Amin, and he was a bad man, and he was a cannibal. I was like, so in college, it was a Ugandan guy in my college, and I was talking shit to myself. Hey man, shut up! Before I send you back to Uganda, you gotta deal with Idi Amin. He's like, brother, you are truly ignorant, brother. You are ignorant, brother. I I'm ignorant about what? About Idi Amin eating people? Yeah, you talking about? It was on the white man's movie. And at that time, I didn't understand propaganda. Brother, you are truly ignorant. You are ignorant. You are ignorant. I can't do a Ugandan accent, Mike, but I'm doing the best I can.
You had probably watched the last King of Scotland. You had probably watched the movies from Hollywood, and that is how he got the propaganda.
and,
Push the propaganda.
and the fact that Idi Amin was one of the great African leaders we've ever had, how they made it, and me being a young impressionable black man in college, not knowing the actual truth. You know, he was a very educated man. So that's the reason why Africa's educational system is and these bootlicking leaders. The one thing you should have done when you got your country, when you first got them, since you were supposed to be independent, is make sure your educational system will rival anybody. You educate your children. That's what you got to do. Go ahead, Spike. I just want to say that.
I want to share this video. I want to share with you this video, kid. What a brother was saying on the Breakfast Club, and this has to do with African unity. Something that kid always loves to mention, and this is what the brother was saying on the show. Let me play these. Real quick, check this out.
Especially at times like this, you understand? To be a bridge, this was.
Is there any correlation between the titles of your last two albums, African Giant and then now Twice as Tall?
Yeah, man. To be honest, man, I wanted to call it African Giant Part 2, but African Giant did so well, I didn't want to, put that pressure on this.
I see Diddy executive produced this album. So what made you choose Diddy, and how did that relationship come about, and what was like his whole influence?
Nah, man, he's someone that I've always looked up to, and so it's a big blessing to me, because it wasn't the plan in the beginning, but then it just happened organically, and it's been perfect every step of the way,
How does Diddy attack this project? Because, you wouldn't necessarily think Diddy when you think of African music and Afro beats. You know what I mean? So how did Diddy attack this? How did you get up with it?
Yeah, man. So basically, I just wanted this album to be a bridge, like a strong bridge to all Black people in the diaspora. Everywhere there's Black people in this world, I wanted this bridge to touch there. So I just thought Diddy would be the best person to bring that power.
Hey, I'm glad you said that, because you've always been an advocate of Black people returning home to Africa. Why is that so important to you?
It's very important to me because I feel like most of us, like the Black people, we don't necessarily understand how important it is for us to be together especially at times like this. You understand? And we tend to forget that our real power will come from the fact that, the rest of the world sees this united power of this united Black power. That's the scariest thing to anyone else and to any other, to the Western civilization and all that. Is the scariest thing is the unity, the power of Black unity all around. If that could be achieved, then the world would be Black.
Tell me, what is Blackness to you? Because right.
That is, of course, Banabo here speaking the truth.
He's right. He's right,
yeah.
Mike, because he's right, because Africa's the sleeping giant. The reason why we got so many tribes, we were fractioning off. Everybody's got to go read the Black Bible, the destruction of Black civilization. We start becoming too many goofy tribes, too many different nations, and we separated. Our power is in our unity, and that's a fact, and everybody knows that. So it's always a thing to make sure African people stay divided. They hate one another, hate being Black, hate and these wicked ass borders, these wicked borders. That's why you had Kwame Nkrumah knew we got to get rid of the borders. There weren't no borders in Africa until the white man showed up. The There were no borders. So no such thing as a Southern African, and you know that's right, or a East African or West African. That's the first the white man made up. We moved all the way throughout Africa. You have some people be in Zimbabwe today, next they be in Ghana a month from now, or they be all in Kenya. They moved throughout Africa freely, from kingdom to kingdom. That's a fact. And so they labeled us all this other nonsense, and we have division. And they broke up our language. Go ahead, Spike. Go ahead, Spike.
Everybody's divide and conquer. Burna Boy also says that black unity would be the scariest thing. You know, that is the scariest thing, that black people uniting and becoming one.
But Spikes, when we ruled just. We wasn't raping nobody's women. We educated the world. We weren't raping people and pillaging them. Black people were just and loving. That's our nature. So we didn't rape and pillage. When we came and taught the Europeans, we didn't rape his women and brutalize them. I mean, the Moors did a little bit, but not a lot. You know, they, you know, as long as you didn't talk crazy to them, you know, and the Moors gave them free education.
Yeah.
And now the African doesn't have free education. The Moors gave the Europeans free education. You know, that's a fact. So, hold on, Spike, do me a favor. Pull up, go to Google and pull up images of Al-Andalus. Al-Andalus. Or Al-Andalusia, which is modern day Spain and Portugal. But when the Africans ruled it, they called it Al-Andalus, walking in the light. So that's spiritual. Everybody, so we're going to go back to that also today. It's spiritual, walking in the light of God. Al-Andalus, or Al-Andalusia, which meant walking in the light. That was the name of Spain and Portugal before the white man got it back. Before the Goths and the Visigoths took it over. There you go. That's Al-Andalus. So that's the architecture. Yeah, so that's the architecture. Yeah, so that's the architecture that you brought to Europe. You were some dirty nigga living in the hut. You didn't know what to do. That's when you were building colleges in Europe and educating Europeans. Teach them how to wash their ass, how to change their clothes. Okay? And you brought them free education. So that was Al-Andalus. You brought them free education. Go ahead, Spike. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Spike.
I'm saying the problem is that we do have a cognitive dissonance. You know, people cannot really connect these images to the African. People want to, you know, the people cannot really even admit to themselves that they were once great, and therefore, because you have been put in that particular kind of a mentality.
I know, exactly, Spike. Exactly, but if I go to Africa and say, listen, you were great, you ruled the world, he's like, get out of my face. White Jesus told me I was never great. I was never done nothing. You lying. The white man has always been the best. I'm like, no, brother, these are lies. I'm trying to tell you the truth. Get away from me, you no good bastard. I'm like, no, brother, you did run the world. That's a fact. No, I don't know nothing about that.
You might actually get stoned. You might actually get stoned for that. Sister Lightbearer, thank you so much.
He might try to stab me, Spike. They might try to stab me.
Sister Lightbearer, thank you so much for joining us on the show. We also do have the brother General Mosquito. The brother General Mosquito got an ass whooping. I think that the brother General Mosquito got an ass whooping in Ghana, where he was studying until the age of 6. I think he got an ass whooping almost daily. And I eventually did not get to learn anything, which is very, very much unfortunate. Sister Charlene Johnson, we love and appreciate you. Thank you so much for being part of the Voices of the Motherland show. We trust that you are doing well, and we also trust that you are looking forward to an interesting month, which is September. Of course, I don't know how many people are born in this month, but earlier on we did have Mr. Pirate Brain, who was celebrating his birthday yesterday. Of course, yesterday was the last day of August. But nonetheless, let us know what you're looking forward to this particular month of September. Ask the Black Hot Fire family, what is it that you're really, really looking forward to? Sister Redgala says the more The Moors were priesthood sent to eradicate them. And I also see a comment here by Sister Charlene Johnson saying hello to you. And you're saying Liberia may those maybe those folks thought they could breed them back into the black race, which is actually um, maybe, I don't know. They probably might have, but of course that didn't happen. Nonetheless, we almost are coming to the winding of the show, but I want to talk a little bit about the transformation that Africa needs. And the most valuable resource right now for economic transformation is the African youth. And of course, right now, many particular countries are really trying to find ways of tapping into the potential of the African youth, but that has not really happened. There is a lot of exclusion when it comes to even matters such as leadership. There is a lot of exclusion of the young people in terms of leadership.
Right.
For example,
let me answer. Right.
sir, go. Yeah,
Right,
go.
Jimmy.
Yeah,
Let me
here, go.
answer Lightbear's question. Yes, a lot of them were priests, but you had a priest class, Lightbear, and a warrior class, and that's how far we felt in vibration. Because you can never, the idea that white people would rule Africans, the Moors would laugh at the white people could never rule us. And now look, they want no more. Now just like if I tell an African that he ruled, he'll smack me in the face.
No.
So they were sent to educate them. They said, they said we must, but they understood the sign that we go through a cosmic sleep. They said we must educate this beast. If we don't educate this cracker, he'll kill us all before we start waking back up. And the waking up is happening now. So the Moors did say we must educate these bastards. If we don't educate them, he'll kill us all before we wake back up. I do understand the science, but I don't know. Would have been better if we didn't teach it, if we left the white man in ignorance. That's always the question I got. I always wonder, would have been better if we left these bastards in ignorance? Because they did so much damage. They did so much damage to us and still doing so much damage. After we educate, they done so much damage to us as a people, man. They done so much wicked shit they've done. I mean, it's incomprehensible, the wicked shit they've done about us as a people. So, I don't know. I got a good and a bad with that. I still haven't come to terms with that. I understand if you know spirituality, not religion. I understood why they said we had to educate them. I get it. But it's done so much damage to us educating this no good beast. It's done so much damage to us as a people. But if Moors go and teach them how to read and write and build universities, and the funny part, you talk about Cambridge. Cambridge was built by the Moors. And that's what's so funny. They use Cambridge University now to come back and colonize the minds of the Zimbabweans, Kenyans. The Africans built that college. The Africans built those colleges. There wasn't no colleges in Europe. So that's what I be saying.
And
So,
if you go back into history, and of course, like we were saying earlier, and try to tell the black people that we actually introduced the Moors actually brought civilization into that particular part of the world, Spain and all these in Europe. Like I was saying, you will have a big quarrel with anyone. I know right now because they will ask you, then what happened? Because right now we do have the best universities, the best education, considered the best education in those parts of the world, whereas Africa is lagging behind in terms of education. What went wrong? And people cannot really be able to, to reconcile these two facts, and therefore you might have an argument the whole day telling people facts. But nonetheless, like Vera says, maybe those points also
Spike,
could
do me a
be.
favor. Spike, hold on, Spike. Look, do me a favor. Pull up images of the Walt Disney Castle. You know, the castle that Disney used. Pull up images of the Walt Disney Castle. And we know that's an African Moorish castle that was brought from Africa to Europe. That image. The cracker won't even lie about it no more. Because you can't lie. That's African architecture brought into Europe. So pull up that Walt Disney. That's an
Those are some
African
of the images.
castle built by African people. Yeah, that image right there, that's a Moorish castle brought to Europe by the Africans when we were still ruling. Exactly, thanks. I just blow up one, just here. Yeah, just show one. That's a Moorish castle.
Yeah.
Hated black people, but he took a Moorish castle as his goddamn image with his no good, no good pedophilic ass. Yeah, that's a Moorish castle. He had no problem making that as his image. He couldn't stand African people, but he had no problem making that his goddamn image, and it's been famous around the world with his no good racist pedophilic ass. That's an African castle. Go ahead, Spike. African sign.
And also brought on a Cinderella as a story where everyone. No, I'm saying also brought the Cinderella fairy tale where we do have. No, I haven't frozen. I can still hear what you're saying. I was saying also brought on the tale of Cinderella. Cinderella, where people are living in queens. People are living like queens, enjoying the best life in the castle. But I
didn't want the Cinderella castle, Spike. I want the one he uses. That's the image, the Disney image. I ain't really want the Cinderella one, but that's their history. All the lies about Cinderella and all that. That ain't your damn history. Your history is maggot eating. That ain't your damn history. Your history is maggot eating to the black. The African come and teach you how to eat and change your clothes. That's your history, damn it. But yeah, that's a Moorish.
This is the castle. On the logo.
Okay, do this for me, Spike. Do this for me. Instead of doing that, yeah, thank you. That's it. Yes, Spike. That's it. But do me a favor. Type in Google search the images of Moorish castles in Europe. Just do that for me. Images of Moorish castles in Europe. And let's see a few of them. This is images of Moorish castles in Europe. That technology is about. See, when Africans went there, the European was living in old dirty barns. He didn't change his clothes. He was funky. He was disease-ridden. So the African brought him technology how to build homes. So these are Moorish castles. Just pick out a couple to show. So these are African castles that came from Africa.
This is one on the right. This is one on the right here that I'm sharing on the right. So this is also another one. The Gibraltar. There's also another one, the Moorish castle. This is also another one called Al-Zaferia, an old Moorish castle as well. And there's also this one called the Moorish castle of Velez Blanco. And the Moorish castle of Gibraltar.
Have you noticed one thing, Spike? One thing, Spike? One thing they didn't do when we lost power in Europe, they didn't tear down none of those castles. Ain't it funny? They hate us so bad, but they didn't tear down none of them damn castles. they just moved into them. Yeah, we got these niggas out of here. We got these castles.
They just booked Cinderella into one of them. They just booked Cinderella into one of them. That is what happened. They just booked Cinderella into one of these castles. They don't have the IQ to replicate those types of architecture today because they didn't build it. Anyhow, that is exactly what is happening. I don't know what our Sister Rumbi makes of these castles, but that is exactly what happened. Sister Rumbi, have you come across these particular castles on their movies? I believe you have on their movies, whether it be Hollywood movies or other movies.
The Morris Castle that was being referred to by Kip, we have something that is a bit similar something close to that in right here in Zimbabwe. It's like a tourist
The wall,
attraction, like a
the
oh,
Great Wall of
and
Zimbabwe.
the great Zimbabwe, and
Yeah.
you can really see that this was done by us. But then when we study history, in times people want to give credit to the Western people, but then it was founded
White
by
people.
yes. So they now say
Is
it
what
was
they that's what they do.
they say that, but then it was when you go down history, there was a Shona, the people from Zimbabwe, who a Shona person who discovered it. But then, like because we're brainwashed so much, people always give credit to the white people for that. Because you know what, if they were able to make such an amazing structure, why can't they make it again? You see?
Oh
Yeah,
my
they
God! See that? Yeah, that's see how the Africans built that. I know it was the Shona. Yeah, the Africans built that, and that's Africa in decline actually. But that's the lot they're coming about. Yeah, some Europeans built it. Well, no Europeans in Africa at the time when you had the Great Zimbabwe Kingdom existing, and you got Shonas are in Mozambique, in South Africa, and Namibia, and Botswana, if I'm not mistaken. Um, but yeah, because when we lost power, they start making all these lies up. And like I told you, now they're trying to make the Moors white, right? They get all kind of, they just say, oh, these niggas waking up. So you go look at them, they got some Moors as white people. And
they
Moor
also
means black.
they also made their own.
Moreno in Spanish means black. Moreno, black. Because Andalus becomes Spain, Spanish, Moreno. Moreno means black. The Moors, black. And now these niggas are waking up. These niggas are starting to wake up. Let's make everybody white.
They already made the Rand Indian. They already made the Rand Indian. They already made the Rand Indian the original cracker.
White do in America, I told you. That's what they do. That's what they do, Spike. I told you I went to that Indian reservation down here in Florida, and there was a full blonde-haired, blue-eyed white man working in there. I said, "Hey, you a Seminole Indian, or you just work here?" No, I'm full-blooded Seminole. I'm like, what? And all the white people, yeah, you heard them. You heard them. I said, you don't get the fuck out of my damn face. There's no way this man is a full-blooded Seminole. You got me all the way messed up. You people take people's cultures and then you claim to be them. That's your history. This white man ain't no damn Seminole. Well, you think I'm smoking crack rock up in here? Talking with you, yeah, I'm a full-blooded Seminole Indian. Blonde hair, blue-eyed cracker. Get out of here.
There's a comment by General Mosquito says that if you watch Martin Lawrence film Black Knight, they kept on calling him Moore. Gives you an idea they know exactly who we are.
That's right. When they had Martin Lawrence played the Moor in the movie The Black Knight, the flop comedy. They knew he's a Moor. Exactly. Go look at that movie with Martin Lawrence back in the early 2000s. He said, "Oh, he's a Moor. Who brought the Moor into my kingdom?" Go ahead, Mike.
We'll actually check it out. We are winding up. We shall also do have another show that is also mentioning a little bit about what is happening because
Look, hold on, Spike. I love how they got, and then also go get the old. These people can't stand these motherfuckers are wicked. They want to assume your history, and you got to fight to reclaim your history. But you can't. We taught them. So go back and look at an old movie, almost 30 years ago, called Robin Hood with Kevin Costner and Morgan Freeman, when he calls them the Moor, and the Moor, as Morgan Freeman says, "I can't believe you guys defeated us. How could you ignorant bastards defeat us?" And that's what happened, because they were stupid. That's a fact of history that we educate. So everybody go back and get that movie, Robin Hood, with Kevin Costner and Morgan Freeman. He plays the Moor. And he tells, "I can't believe how ignorant you people, you were able to defeat us." Because that's the real history. And Just like when you got Martin Lawrence playing a comedy, you know the movie sucked. Him being a Moor, everybody knows the Moors are black. When you go look, okay, you don't believe me? Go look at Shakespeare when he does Othello. Othello's the Moor. He's the one in power. Othello is black. He's a black Moor. They know who fucking ruled Europe, the Moors. But now they're trying to make them white because you wake it up and you know you wasn't always on the bottom. You wasn't always all rich and messed up. Is that it, Spike? Yeah, you did. There you go. Hey, thanks, Spike. Spike pulled it up. You're looking out, Spike.
Yeah, we'll actually take it out. This is Morgan Freeman, of course, with the sword right here. And that was produced in 1991.
Yeah, you see it right there. Yeah, he's the Moor. He is teaching the white man. He's teaching Kevin Costner because the Moors in the movie had just lost power. So he's the one teaching Kevin Costner. And he said, how could you ignorant people beat us? How could you dumbass white people defeat us? So thanks, Mike. Good looking out.
Thank you. I see. Someone who says, yes, I remember that film. Liberia says Amelia was black. She wrote all the Shakespeare things behind all the Shakespeare work. Yes, we have mentioned about the same a little bit sometimes back on the Black Financial. I just want to thank everyone that has joined us on this episode. Remember not to miss out on the Africa.
If they were able to make such
Remember not
an
to miss out.
amazing
Speaking.
why can't they make it?
Remember not to miss out. Remember not to miss out on the Africa Today show. That shall be in about 1.5 hours from now, and we are wishing you a happy and productive September. Being a new man, we do trust that you shall actually reach some of the goals or aspirations for this particular month. And of course, I want to wish you a happy and productive month ahead. Do not miss out on the next episode of the Africa Today show right here on the Black Family. So that's much peace and love. We say Swahili.
This is Black Star Radio Media.